The debate showcase is a little bit different than the debates you did yesterday because we will be bringing to the stage scholars from 8 different countries to form 2 new teams of 4 that will lead us in a discussion of emotion that could apply to anyone in this room. Now, I know some of you are just getting back, so please take your seats as quickly as possible so that we can announce the speakers in this debate. These individuals are among the top debaters in this entire global round.
And scholars, the debate showcase really is an opportunity to showcase some of that talent. While these are some of the top speakers that will come up to share kind of their ideas and points with you, there were many more speakers that we were unable to bring to the stage solely because of all the talent that we have and the limit on numbers that we have. So after the debate showcase, we will have an audience discussion in which you guys too will have the opportunity to share with us any ideas or arguments or even counter arguments that you came up with during the course of the debate. So do listen carefully during the debate so that you too can contribute at the end.
The showcase will be judged by a panel of additional great speakers. That panel will take their seats up here in the front. Should we run out of seats, we'll find you an extra chair up toward the front as well. After the debate is over, this panel will exit the theater to determine the victor of the debate showcase. But truly, in a showcase of such strong debaters who can each give us a model of how to speak to an audience of this size and diversity on a topic of significance, there are no lollipops. Now, when you speak as a volunteer in the audience, remember to keep your thoughts and questions concise. You are not giving a speech, but sharing an idea. And the Junior Debate Showcase at the Global Round has a bit of a history. From time to time, students forget how important it is to respect their peers who are on stage and the country and community we are part of. So scholars, I ask you, please keep your thoughts not just concise, but considerate. And think about the kinds of ideas you would like to hear if you were one of the speakers on stage. Never begin a comment by attacking someone who has spoken here on stage. We are all part of one community sharing one discussion today.
So we will be calling to the stage a affirmative and a negative team. The affirmative team will come and sit on this side of the stage and the negative on this side of the stage. Scholars, if you hear your name called, bring with you whatever you feel you will need for the debate. I do recommend a piece of paper or a notebook and a pencil or pen, and most definitely your alpacas. After we've called our speakers, as Daniel said, we will be calling up our panelists who should come and sit in this front VIP section right here. All right, so we will now call up the first speaker of the affirmative team at this debate showcase. Your first speaker comes from the International School of Yangon. Can we have a big round of applause for Casey Jang?
Our second speaker joins us from Turkey, from the Koç School. It is Demirkan Erkiralp.
Your third speaker on the affirmative team joins us from the United Arab Emirates, from Dubai English-Speaking College, Tala Ahmadi.
And our fourth and final member of the affirmative team, from the Netherlands, from the International School of Amsterdam, it is Claire Munting.
And as our affirmative team joins us on stage, we move on to our negative team.
Our first speaker on the negative team is from Slovenia. From Osh Daniel Kumar, Karlo Vidovic.
Your second speaker on the negative team joins us from China, the International School of Beijing. It is Nikki Wong.
Our third negative speaker is from Bahrain, from St. Christopher's School, Kate Piri.
And your fourth and final speaker on the negative team is all the way from Australia, from Iona Presentation College, Amy Mance.
And as both teams approach the stage, let us announce the panelists who will be the judges in this debate.
These panelists should come and sit in this front row right here and should also bring with them a pencil and a piece of paper to take notes on. Your first panelist of the day is Sarun Manich.
And there are quite a few panelists because this is a tournament of over 2,000 scholars. Our second panelist is Krish Parek.
Next up, we have Eliza O.
And Natasha Ray.
Followed by Ariane Luthra.
Soda Lin Lim.
And Charlie Bosniak.
Saanvi Puri.
Ocampo Clarice.
Angus Phyllis.
Paritha Balu.
Tiana Lawton.
Arvan Fatah.
And our final panelist, Simon Orue Okiti.
So panelists, please come and join us here up front.
Scholars, let's have a big round of applause for both the affirmative and the negative teams on stage. What do we need now? And Chauncey, if you could help the panel find some seats. We need a motion. And this is a motion that the seniors will be debating or may already be debating at this very moment at the debate schools. Izzy, what is the motion today?
Scholars, the motion for today's debate is resolved that we should each be given a peek at our lives 10 years into the future. So scholars up on stage, debaters, as similar to yesterday's debates, you guys will have 15 minutes in your teams to prepare for this debate. Audience, you guys should sit tight during this time and do some preparation of your own as well, if you too would like to contribute to the discussion afterwards. And after these 15 minutes of prep, we will get started with the debate.
If there's a chance, I'll take it. And if I can't, ooh, I'll stay here. I ain't got nothing else, no one else. Went for broke, and I broke myself. If there's a chance, I'll take it. The stars, they are shining. They'll start aligning soon. Give me a second, I got this. Soon. Give me a second, I got this. Stay here beside me. We'll do the unlikely soon. Yeah, give me a second, I got this. Soon. Yeah, how you gonna stop this?
Scholars of Hanoi and the world, it is time to begin the 2017 Global Round Junior Debate Showcase. Now, as in your debates yesterday, all the speakers on stage will have up to 4 minutes to speak. If there's no other bookkeeping things, I think it's time for the first speaker of the affirmative side to please take the stage. Everyone give him a big round of applause.
Imagine this. First, close your eyes and imagine this scene. You are in a world, a beautiful world with so many new things that you've never seen before. So many new things that you've never seen before, you never even heard about before. Things like maybe we may possibly may see in the next 10 years, such as supersonic travel, hyperloops. So many things out there. In this world, you can learn so much. You have so many possibilities. This is the world that we want. Knowledge has a beginning, but it has no end. Knowledge has a beginning, but it has no end. We can know a lot of things if we can look into the future. That is why I am here, Casey Jiang from International School Yangon, to strongly urge all of you to agree with us that we should each be given a peek at our lives 10 years into the future. First of all, before we begin, I would like to start by defining some terms such as should. Should. Used to indicate obligation, duty, or correctness, typically when criticizing something. Peek. Taking a peek. To look at someone or something briefly. And future. Coming after the present time. Future is something that we don't know. We don't know the future. I am here in the present. I do not know what will happen to me 1 hour from now, 1 day from now, 1 week from now, 10 years from now. Now imagine, if I could know these things, think of all these possibilities that are open to us. Moving on to my own points. Let me start with something that we can all relate to. I know this is kind of like a hard thing to say, but imagine if you could know if somebody that you loved died in a couple of years. You never know when you are going to die. And if you can know this thing, you know that you can spend more time with the people you love. I don't know when my dogs will die. I don't know when my friends will die. Suppose I knew 10 years from now that, hey, somebody's gonna die in 10 years. Then maybe I could spend more time, show more love to the people. This is something that if we all knew about this in our lives, we could use in our lives every single day. Now that's just one of the things. Of course, there's so many things that we can learn from the future, and some other things include changing things for the better. This world, along with all the good things we have in this world, we have the bad. If we could know what all these bad things will happen to us, we can change it. Think about it. Think about this like a bunch of dominoes lined up. If you knock one down, all of them will go knocked down. Now, if we knew about the future, we could take one out, change one event. Take another out, change another event. Take another out, change one event. Now knock it over. Picture this. Ooh, it didn't knock over because it stopped here because we changed 2 events. This is something that we could do in the future. Now think about the past. Suppose in the past we had this ability to look into the future. Think of all the things that we could have done for better. Think about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. If we knew that Abraham Lincoln was going to be assassinated, we could prevent things from happening, prevent things like that from happening. World War I, World War II, millions of people dying, so many out there losing their lives, losing their family. We could prevent this if we knew about the future that we were going to have. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as the affirmative speaker, I strongly believe that we should each be given a peek at our lives 10 years into the future. And my team will further elaborate. Thank you very much.
All right, negative side, you have 1 minute to prepare.
I can feel it now. So close, so close.
All right, first speaker of the negative side, please take the stage. Just give him a big round of applause.
Life is a journey, not a destination, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Honorable adjudication panel, esteemed opposition, today me and my colleagues will be arguing for the negative team in the motion that we should be given a peek at our lives 10 years into the future, and we strongly believe the opposite of this because it can be damaging to us, remove focus from the present. In my speech, I will give the main key terms, redefine them, I will give rebuttals, and I will give some of my own team points. I'll begin with the rebuttals. So, I would like to tell the opposition team that if we think that our world is perfect, this is wrong. You cannot assume that our future is beautiful. You could not say this is amazing. We know nothing. We don't even have the tools to correctly predict this future. And I would also like to say, for example, if I was at the World Scholars Cup now, before the debate showcase, and I had no idea that I would be up here talking to you, dear audience, I had no idea, and if somebody told me earlier, it would ruin this whole feeling. It would ruin the whole experience. And this is why, personally, we would not wish to look into our futures. I would now like to begin with my first argument, which is connected with the definition of peek. Peek is a quick look, which means that if we were able to look into the future, we wouldn't be able to see much. We would be able to see minor details that might not be so important in our lives. And there could always be an error in predicting. There could always be an error in predicting the future. We make errors every day. This could also be false. I will now like to bring up a point. For example, if you saw yourself in 10 years into the future, what if you unfortunately died? For these 10 years, you not want to embrace your life, live your life that you have remaining to the fullest. This is why they would completely ruin the experience, and we would be completely ruined for these 10 years. Also, our world is an unlikely world. This is our World Scholars Cup theme for 2017. Anything can happen in any moment, and some things we just can't predict. For example, a few years ago, they didn't know that there was an earthquake. There was going to be an earthquake in Ljubljana, my home city, in 2011. They thought that there would be no earthquake. Well, then it was at 1 altitude. There's some things we can't predict, such as, for example, earthquakes. We can't predict that there will be an earthquake in 10 years. What about then tomorrow, after tomorrow, or next week? Also, I would like to say that us, as humans, we should embrace our lives to the fullest while we have the chance. We only have this one time to think, to see, to embrace the knowledge and everything that we can. Also, I would like to bring up the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. The speaker in this poem did not know whether to choose the left or right path. But then, risking it, like us humans should do, we should not think about our actions too much. We should not try to change what we will do. What about, I would also like to bring up a point from the opposition with the dominoes. You could take out positive events by accident. Positive events that will influence the future, possibly for you positively. If I would have not walked into the classroom on that day when my coach was giving a World Scholars Cup lesson, for that, I would not predict myself in the future there. I would not be here speaking to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I would like to conclude by signposting my rest of my team. There will be a lack of you. The second speaker will talk about the lack of you, the probability of death and unlikeliness, and how we should embrace our lives. The third speaker will be also talking about occupations, poverty. This is what I would like to say, and this is why we think this motion should fall. Thank you.
Affirmative side, you have 1 minute.
Be right here, right now. So close, so close. Will you be right here? Will you be right here? Will you be right here, right now?
All right, scholars, put your hands together for the second speaker of the affirmative team.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, well-esteemed judges, fellow opponents. My name is Tala, and I'm the second speaker today for Team Affirmative, supporting the motion that we should have a peek in our lives into 10 years into the future. Now I'd like to start with some rebuttal. Your first speaker talked about how it can remove focus from the present. Imagine how much we can discover, causing more focus, thus showing it was an invalid point. He then completely talked about his own preconceptions and opinionated facts with no evidence behind it. He also said that if we look 10 years to the future and we died, exactly, we could prevent ourselves from dying, eating more healthily. He then also mentioned, how we can die in the future. Imagine how much we can prevent by it. He also said that it will change our actions. What about changing your mistakes, fixing the future, improving your relationships between family, seeing lost ones you've loved, improving the relationships in the present? Now I'd like to start with my own points. 10 years into the future, we will be able to see technology that was invented. We'll be able to see innovative ideas in the future. We can gain these ideas and develop technology in our world. Imagine what we can discover. Imagine what we can see and the impacts that we can make in our world till today. Imagine developing technology that can be developed in such impacted ways. Imagine what we can do. Create quicker transportation systems that impact our journey to school, work. Imagine what we are capable of. Technologies such as better standards, MRIs, X-rays from the future that can impact our world now in the present instead of waiting to the future and not even making a difference. Is Team Negative going to be completely ignorant about these factors? Are they not going to, they're just focusing on their own preconceptions. We need to think about our world, our society, how it can be impacted and what we can do. We can't just stand by, see the future and do absolutely nothing. He also said towards this, and are they disregarding how much we can do to our society and what we can develop? Does Team Negative not care about the effects in our world and what we can do and the technologies that we can develop, such as computers that travel twice as fast, phones that are clear glass? Imagine how we can modernize the society that we are living in right now. Is Team Negative not going to face these factors? Seeing into the future, to reiterate on my first speaker's points, we're able to see our family in the present. We're able to see our family, relationship, friends, and see the lost ones that we have loved, and spend more time with them in the present. We're able to see the circumstances we are in, fix regretted mistakes from the future. We're able to see what we're going to do in life and what we can do now in the present. Team Negative are only focusing on their own preconceptions. They're not facing the facts. Back to my point on technology. Seeing what our world would be like would be a stepping stone on improving the problems our world is facing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, seeing into the future and seeing what technology we can develop, improve jobs, society, mistakes that we have made, improve relationships that we can fix, or are we simply going to do nothing that Team Negative support, or are we simply just going to disregard the future that we have seen and not even make an impact? Is Team Negative is only living in a fantasy and is not looking at the reality that we are living in right now? Imagine the amount of change we can make in such a beneficial way. Now I'd like to end with our case line, which is the possibility of discovery. Thank you.
All right, Negative team, once again, 1 minute to prepare.
I don't know if I'm going to heaven, or if all my sins.
All right, second speaker of the negative side. As Birch says, let's put your hands together one time.
Good afternoon, my worthy opposition, colleagues, audience, and adjudicators. Our future is the most uncertain part of our lives. It holds promise, secrets, and many things that should remain unknown. If we were allowed to peak and saw the pivotal point of our lives in 10 years, where do we have to prosper in time after this? We disagree that our peak should be precisely in 10 that we should be allowed to peak precisely in 10 years, and rather uphold the proposition that we should both live in the moment and achieve great things for the duration of our lives. My opposition stated that we can see things and prevent these from happening. Many parts of our history and future may hold negative things caused by one of two things. Something may be caused naturally, and seeing this and being able to anticipate it would cause extreme anxiety and desperation among the population. Regardless of being able to see into the future, we could not change this and would instead be left to anticipate a devastating event. In addition, we have events caused by mankind. Our worthy opposition has tried to tell you that we could prevent negative events such as war. This is a huge untruth. No matter the future, man cannot change in such a drastic way as to prevent something. Do you claim that if Donald Trump saw what a war could do, he wouldn't start one? Figures who would do such terrible acts do not change to suit the future. They make the future change to suit them. This shows that a peek into our futures could not create change. They also stated that we could prevent death. Being allowed a peek into the future wouldn't allow us to necessarily change major events. It would simply allow us to view them. If I was allowed to peek into the future and discovered I was going to contract terminal cancer, seeing this wouldn't allow me to change this. It would leave me simply anticipating an inevitable and short, early death. Life is a journey, not a destination. We shouldn't be living in the future, and a peek into it would mean that we would do this. The present holds much more value than the rest of our lives. What shall happen in the lead up to this monumental time? Our world's population should become slack and dependent on the promise of good things that they have seen. They shall forget about the hard work our ancestors required to get places in life, and instead concern themselves with preparation and anticipation, rather than striving towards a central and personal goal. Seeing the future would mean we would stop attempting progression through anticipation, ultimately plummeting us into a process of regression. How about the millions of people in our world who have worked hard in an attempt to create a brilliant present for themselves? This proposition becoming a reality would introduce two negative things in our society. Think of those who have strived to create a future derived from hard work. We can only imagine how this would demotivate them in regards to their longing to strive and succeed. They work hard to create a consistent peak and pivotal point in their future, not to reach it in one bout. And by peeking into our future, this would happen. We would anticipate something and only strive towards reaching that and count down the days towards this. Individuals who want good things without hard work would still achieve these by being allowed to peek into the future. Does this replicate social justice, or does it seem more like a huge lack of fairness in our society? If they can see their future, they will see good things, fantastic things. However, we can never achieve these if we look into the future, because we will simply sit back and go, this is going to happen and I don't need to do anything about it because it's what the future holds. Allowing us to see into the future would mean we began to accept the coming of good things without working towards them. An anonymous person whose future now lies in the past stated, "Worrying about the future is not living." This is a true and strong ethos many of us could do to bring more impact into our lives. If an important moment in the future should be embedded in an individual's life, it should be because of their hard work, and allowing us a peek into our future would not do this or uphold this. A positive stigma that surrounds promise of the yet to come has to change for the good of humanity. A peek in our lives that is to happen in 10 years will create a universal desperation for years following, a lack of drive in the present, and a lack of achieving things that will then go on to exist in our future. Thank you.
And that's 1 minute for the affirmative team.
Too much to let me in. And I lost my only chance at redemption. But the stars I see them shining. And I know they'll start.
All right, third speaker from the affirmative side. Give him a big round of applause.
Mental preparation for the future can cause non-mental preparation for the future can cause lots of problems in your life. Depression, PTSD, shell shock, things that can happen in your life that you were not expecting. They can cause problems. And when I mean problems, I mean real problems. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'll be arguing that, that we should each get a peek at our lives 10 years into the future. And firstly, I would like to ask all of you here a question. Wouldn't you want to see your future? What's going to happen to you? And I would like to state that this would reduce lots of stress. For example, let's say that you're a student going through lessons. You have exams, you're scared, you think that you're going to be, I don't know, something that you don't wish to be in the future. Well, will not knowing that something's going to happen like that help you? Well, I know you'll feel bad, but at least it will allow you to mentally prepare for the things that will happen in the future. Let's say that your parents are gonna die, or your friends, your loved ones. What would you do? Well, if you just did not know it, maybe you would not show the respect that they require. For example, let's say that your parent is going to die, your mom, and you didn't know this. You're not really good with your mom because you had problems and you're not going to do anything with her for 10 years. Think of all the things that you will think when your mom dies. Would that be a nice experience? Would simply going like, oh, I wish I had spent more time with my mom. Is that a really good thing? No. Mental preparation can prevent problems as such occurring. Adding on, I would like to state something. All of their assumptions that they stated were simply assumptions. We cannot prove that, well, if you are going to have a bad future, you are going to live in a state of depression for the rest of your life. Well, no. It simply can solve the depression problem. If you know that your parents are gonna die, you can mentally prepare yourself for that. If you know that a train is going to hit you, you can mentally prepare yourself for that too. Or you can simply try to prevent that from happening. And lastly, I would like to ask the same question again. Wouldn't you want to see your future? After all the things I've told you, I believe that I have concluded that we should be able to get a peek at our future in 10 years. Thank you for your attention.
All right, and thank you, speaker. Negative side, you have 1 more minute.
Would you mind just this time stay here beside me? Beside me.
All right, third speaker of the negative side, please take the stage. Everyone give him a big round of applause.
Honorable judges, esteemed opposition, and distinguished members of the audience. I am Nikki Wong of the International School of Beijing, and as you know, our team is here to prove to you that we shouldn't each be given a peek at the future 10 years from now. Our first and second speaker, Carlo and Amy, made the first 2 points for our team that by viewing the future, it could entirely ruin our beliefs and result in chaos within the society. Before I further develop our case, however, I'd like to rebut some points put forward by the opposition's team. First speaker, yes, it is true that we will know a lot of things in the future. However, what if these pieces of knowledge are things that we do not want to know? What if this results in severe consequences? Second speaker, how can we prevent ourselves from dying? Do you know which events lead to our death? No, you don't. The society is changing every second of our lives. How can we improve occupations if we already see the future? Divination jobs will be lost and poverty will increase. Third speaker, to rebut both the third and first speaker, I would like to state that by knowing the future, this will not at all decrease stress. What if we're gonna die? Do you all feel less stressed then if you know? Now, I will be addressing the following points for our team. Turning to our team's first point, if each individual had the opportunity to view the future, it would deliberately ruin their beliefs. In one mythological example called Maitreya, the Buddhism religion believes that this person is going to appear in the near future. If this religious group finds out that this will not occur at all, then it will entirely ruin their religion and this would destroy all of them. Also, in the modern world, if people were able to look at 10 years into the future, then many divination occupations would be gone forever. For example, specialists of tessiography, horoscopes, palmistry, they will all lose their occupations. This will result in more severe cases of poverty and increased competition for survival. Just from these two important examples, it is evident that it would ruin our lives and beliefs. Our team's second point in proving that we shouldn't each be given a peek at our lives is, if we can view the future at a particular scene, this would arouse paranoia and fear in the population that is associated with life and death. Consequently, the society would become extremely climactic. In the artistic expression, when I grow up, the baby is inside the fetus of the mother. In some way, he is able to see what is going on in the world. And although it is not the future, he is able to experience what he will experience if he comes out. As a result, he commits suicide by biting off his umbilical cord. In America, approximately 18.5% of the population already experience some degree of mental illness. If this number continues to grow, our society will collapse. Our society will be doomed forever. From these two examples, it is way more than enough to show us that this will result in truly horrendous society and would spontaneously result in severe mental illnesses to be evoked in many individuals. Thank you for allowing me to further develop our team's case to you and support our first speaker, Carlo, and second speaker, Amy, in helping to prove the resolution. Our fourth speaker, Kate, will further develop our team's argument in their speech by addressing the following points. Our strong and imperative claims compared to the opposition's incorrect and unreasonable evidences is enough to leave you in no doubt that we had won this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, third speaker. Affirmative team, you have 1 final minute before sending up your fourth speaker.
Are shining, they'll start aligning soon. Give me a second.
And fourth speaker of the affirmative side, please now take the stage. Big round of applause, guys.
Good afternoon, honourable judges, audience members, and opposition. My name is Claire Munting, and I stand here today from the affirmative team. The motion that all teams here will debate goes as followed: that we should be given a peek at our futures, at our lives 10 years into the future. So, I would like to start off with a small quotation. Medicine will advance in the next 10 years more than it did in the last 100. This comes from singularityhub.com. With this statement in mind, I would like to restate some of the contentions that my teammates brought up. The first one was that the changing of the future can be beneficial. The second, that knowing the technological advances prior to a discovery can aid in general advances. And the third one is that of mental preparation. So let this debate be finalized with my contention. Contention 4. That similarly to the technological advances possible, the medicinal advances possible in the future, and that by knowing them beforehand, we could prevent loss of life exponentially. I'd like to start off by refuting some of the claims by the negative team. Primarily, I'd like to ask that all the judges ignore some of the statistics that the negative speaker just made. This is due to the fact that they did not have any citations. Where did they come from? How do you know? In addition to this, the second speaker stated that worrying about the future is not living. This point, though maybe a quote, does not signify that we must dedicate our entire lives to looking into the future. It merely indicates how we can improve our present in the future. The future is flexible. In addition to this, why should the future remain unknown? As my opposition stated, though this may seem like a valid point, I am here to elaborate onto the fact, especially that since the topic of a medical terminal illness was brought up, that this subject has been left incomplete. Firstly, the estimation given for the possibility of finding a cure for cancer is 5 to 15 years, from singularityhub.com again. So to present a small anecdote that's personal to myself. I don't know how many scholars in here of the 2,000 plus have ever experienced the loss of a best friend. 2 weeks, 3 days, and 7 hours ago, my best friend for 11 years passed away from lung cancer. There is not one day that though I know that she lived an incredible life, traveling and having the most friends she could have, there is not one day that I don't crave for just another minute out of the hour I could spend with her. For just another day of the weeks that we have spent here preparing to give this debate. I just feel every single day that I wish that I could spend more time with her, but I could not. The illness came unexpectedly. The illness came without warning, without a look into the future. In this sense, Mark Zuckerberg announced a $3 billion donation effort to develop and find the answer to immunotherapies for cancer. So this is a viable aim within 10 years. If we as a whole race were to be able to look into the future, think of what the good it could do. Imagine the possibility of discovery, the possibility of the good in the world, the possibility to save one life, just like millions of others, of a girl named Jess, the possibility to peek into the future. Thank you.
And one final minute for the last speaker of this debate showcase to prepare.
Stay here beside me. We'll do the unlikely soon.
And it is time for the last speaker of today's debate showcase to take the stage. Everyone, let's give her the biggest round of applause.
Good morning. My name is Kate Peary, and I'm the fourth and final speaker for the debate that we should be given a peek at our lives 10 years into the future. And I'd like to state our case line, which is we strongly disagree with the motion because a look at 10 years into the future can be so damaging to us now and remove focus from the present. So first of all, I would like to explain and rebut some key points. The affirmative team is so fixated on the fact that we can change the future. But if we change the future, then what are we seeing? Are we seeing a fiction? I'm pretty sure that this debate is about a future, not a fiction. So then how can we change it? Also, I would like to mention that with the opposition team have talked about the discoveries that are made over 10 years of progress. And it's not like we get to see the entire 10 years. We get to see 10 years from today. So we won't see the development. We won't see the change. We won't have a set of blueprints or instructions to tell us what to do. So what's the benefit? In fact, The opposition believe that we are so obsessed with these assumptions because we can't know anything for sure. Well, no one can know anything for sure. Both their opposition and our points. We are all making predictions. We are using statistics from the past to prove our points. I'd like to go into some more personal rebuttals. So first of all, your first speaker talked about, again, how we can change the future. Well, I'd like to interest you in a story of a slave who bumped into a woman that he believed was deaf. So he got his horse from his master and ran into another city. The master then went to confront this woman. And do you know what the woman said? The woman said that she was surprised that she saw him here because she thought she had an appointment with him later on in the exact same town that he ran to. So how can we change the future? I would like to say that this is the main foundation of their debate, but we can't change the future. Also, we have discussed and we have been called ignorant because we believe that we cannot change the future. Well, you can only call us ignorant if you look at the other side of the argument too, which sadly has not been happening for the opposition team. And in fact, we're seeing 10 years from the future. So that doesn't mean that we're going to see every single day that happens in between. That doesn't mean that we're going to see every single discovery that happens between those 10 years. We will see 10 years from now, not 10 years altogether. I would like to say that 10 years ago, our world was completely different. And you know what? That gave us inspiration to push on with technologies and discoveries. In fact, I can tell you surely that our world will be different in some way in 10 years. And that's what makes life interesting. Do you want to be a simulation? Do you want to be a robotic instrument following day-to-day actions? Do you want to live your life full of stress because you found out that 10 years from now you're going to be dead, but you don't know which day you're going to die? We cannot deny that this is the truth, and we cannot let our lives become stressful. I would like to end my debate by restating a quote that was mentioned at the beginning. Life is a journey, not a destination. So don't be focused on 10 years from now. Be focused on today. Thank you.
Can we have one more big round of applause for all the speakers brave enough to come up here and debate in front of you today? All right, and this concludes the first portion of this year's Junior Debate Showcase. Now we extend the debate to you guys, to the rest of the community. Dan, do you want to explain how this works?
So, at this moment in time, the panel of judges is being led out of the theater to deliberate and make their decision. Panel of judges, please follow Mr. Albert to the mysterious place in which this will happen. Meanwhile, for the rest of us in the room, this is the moment we invite you to offer your thoughts on the motion. How does it impact you? What does it mean to you? What would you have said if you were on stage? There are, as there were for the keynote, microphone stands set up in the audience. If you have something to share, please remember you will be given 30 seconds of time to share that thought. And those thoughts should be your ideas, again, not attacks on individuals on stage. So, if someone would like to join us at the microphone stands, they are currently being manned by Chauncey and Co. One comment per school. All right, Chauncey, do we have a first question? Or first thought? Please introduce yourself, give us your name and your school and country, and then share your thought.
Hello, I'm Joseph Anholm from St. Christopher's, Bahrain, and I wanted to question why the rebuttal from the affirmative team was not made. Because the negative team started talking about how the affirmative team had used no evidence, but I'm sorry, there isn't any evidence of seeing the future now. This is a hypothetical debate. It requires ideas, not facts, because we don't have them.
Thank you so much, not just for that important thought, but for speaking exactly within the time allotted by the somewhat garish clock behind me. Let's move to the second microphone over directly next to the one that spoke, and then we'll come back down and to the top.
I think it goes for a mention that there was a recent
Please do
study.
share your name.
Sorry, my name is Abby Manuwadhu and I'm from Wellington International School in Dubai. I believe it does take a mention about the study that was there recently, about people trying to change what may happen in the future if they know what it is. And as stated by the negative speakers, I think it's important to show that we don't know how it's going to happen, and it could happen in any way possible.
Thank you very much for that thought. And again, for staying within the time. It's really important for us to hear as many voices from the community as we can in this limited time we have. I appreciate it greatly. Let's move to this first microphone stage left over here.
Hi, my name is Zara Bhatia and I am from the French International School of Hong Kong. I have a point for the negative team. The future is based on the present and we can change the future in the present by making different choices. So if we make different choices, then the future can never really be determined because we can always change our choices based on what we do.
Thank you. And in some ways that doesn't disconnect, it actually connects very well with the short story that we discussed the other day during the keynote. Let's move over here to this microphone stand.
Can I start?
Please go.
Okay. So I just would like to add on to this debate on where there's something called the butterfly theorem, and it supports the negative team. So what happens is that it was written in a book, and what happened is that some people traveled back in time, and one of them stepped on a butterfly, and when they came back, there was no life. So I wanted to support the negative team on where you have to know what the events will happen. You can't know what will happen in the future. You can't change it.
Thank you so much. Small things can have tremendous consequences. Do we have someone up top who wishes to speak? If so, please speak now. I can't quite see you through the lights. All right, we'll move back to the original microphone stand.
Hello. My name is Chaitanya Prakash. I'm from St. Christopher's School, Bahrain. I'd like to point out an example where, say for example, you're going to do a test in about a few weeks, and 10 years, and you know you're going to get 100% in all your tests. Then, why bother now? Why revise? Because I'm pretty sure if you know they're going to get 100%, you're not going to do any work now. So thus, the future can be affected. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really great to see how many of you have thoughts to share. There's a kind of motion that makes you think a little bit about what you would actually do if you were given this decision. Let's go back to the next of the rear stands. Over there, yep.
Hi, my name is Jack from NES Dubai. The positive said if you could go into the future and see that your parents died and go back and try prevent it. But it would be impossible because you would be seeing the future of you preventing it. So you preventing it would cause their deaths.
Thank you. It's so hard to think through the paradoxes that can develop in these sorts of situations. Let's go down to the lower microphone stand. Yep.
Hello there, my name is Emma, and I'm from Jakarta Intercultural School, and my comment is directed towards the negative team. Perhaps another point you could have brought up was the myth or historical example of Oedipus Rex. Once he heard his destiny from the oracle, he tried to change his fate and the choices he made moving forward. Through those conscientious choices, he still killed his father, married his mother, and inevitably gouged his eyes out. It would have been the perfect example of fate, destiny, and how history wants to repeat itself, no matter what we do, that we indeed cannot change the future.
The implacability of destiny. Thank you very much. To the front, other side. Yeah, there you go.
Hello, I'm Agia Tripathi from King's School, Manila. A point from the negative team, they could say like how the bad guys can see into the future and how the bad things can affect the society. So if a robber sees that he's caught, then he could find another way to steal the item or cause a crime. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing our attention to the negative consequences that we might facilitate. All right, once again, asking the top floor if you have access. If there is no microphone stand up there, as I can't see, please do feel free to come down and let our moderators know. Let's go back to the Chauncey microphone for now.
Hi, my name is Ebony Tubb from Golden Grove High School. And I just wanted to say that what happened if you died 5 years into the future or 2 weeks into the future, you wouldn't actually see anything because you'll only be able to see 10 years. You won't be able to see anything leading up to it. So if you died 5 years, you would have no idea. You'd probably just see black. Thank you.
Thank you. It does sound like a prescription for great uncertainty. Okay, to that corner over there, indeed, wearing a purple alpaca under your arm.
So I would like to provide just a small thought on how if it's the motion, I believe, is that it's your future, like our future, and I think that we can only look into our own, so we can't really tell what the whole world is like, and there's only one side that we see the perspective of. And also, an extension to the butterfly theory is that we don't know if we were even just working towards the good, there might be some other side effects that we need to consider.
Thank you. Back to the bottom. Let's go here to stage left, microphone number 1.
Hi, I'm Robin, and I'm from Myanmar International School, and I would like to give a comment for the affirmative team. For the example of Abraham Lincoln, did you know that he predicted his own death 2 days before he was assassinated? But here we want to hear the examples like unexpected deaths and unexpected futures. Thank you.
Thank you. We move over to this side.
So whether good or bad, looking at only one event would inevitably influence our future and what actions we take, which means we won't necessarily do what was predicted and thus changing the chain of events, which would create a paradox. And the predicted event which we peaked at would not actually happen. The thing with this is that our actions would also affect everyone else, thus putting this paradox at a big scale. So consider this. If everyone was able to peek 10 years into their future, each person will create a paradox that inevitably affects everyone else, which could result in anarchy. Thank you.
Thank you. At that disturbing dystopia of the future. Let's move back to the original microphone manned by Mr. CeeLo.
I'm Eric from Dulwich, Beijing. And I would just like to say it was a really nice debate, although I think the affirmative team needed to give a more definite definition, because at the moment they were using two very different definitions, both of the teams were, and how they explained that both the future was fluctuating and set, and it would be a lot easier for everyone to follow the debate and make a lot of points if you were to give a better set definition.
Thank you greatly for that piece of advice. Scholars, I do want to thank you all. This has been one of the greatest feedback sessions so far. Give yourselves some applause for being a supportive and insightful community. Let's move back. Let's roll on from Chauncey to the next microphone. Right over there, yeah.
Truth be told, I would just like to give. I'm David Perrin from Ateneo de Manila of the Philippines. But the only criticism I can give to the entirety of this debate is the fact that they weren't able to give a definitive definition to whether or not we can change the future until last speaker. That is what I think made her probably the best speaker in this debate.
Thank you. And I guess that is a difficult question to resolve, impossible in some ways to do so. We have time for a few more comments. Let's go back to the bottom. Microphone number one.
All right. Hello, I'm Justin from Slovenia, and I'd like to comment on something that was already briefly mentioned on earlier, and that is that the debaters really forgot about the whole theory of different timelines. And as my previous speaker already mentioned, there's like a fixed timeline or a flexible one, or there might be multiple timelines. And when you change an event, an alternate timeline is created. So if that would be mentioned earlier in the debate, that would change the course of it. So that would be nice. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that really clear comment. All right, let's go to microphone number two over here.
Hi, I'm Sasha from Singapore. And I'd just like to say that I thought the word peak was woefully unexplored. In reality, a peak in the future is not going to show you much. It might show you buying a coffee, or it might show you sleeping. The reality is you're probably not going to see some monumental event in your life or somebody else's, so you're actually not going to discover that much from this one single peak into the future.
That is a great point. Thank you so much. I can only imagine, 1/3 of the time we're asleep, hopefully. Back to Silos.
Hi. I just wanted to say that a point that affirmative team made a lot is that we can see technology from the future and then use it in the present that we have now. Imagine somebody working on that new technology and some lazy person just sees it from the future and makes it himself. He ruins somebody else's life's work with no work at all. Thank you.
Thank you. We move to microphone number there.
Number there.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Ayham. I'm from Gyasuddin International School. Okay, so something that was ignored completely by both teams really was the fact that quantum physics plays an important part in this. When you change the past, you technically change the future. So if you're talking about the dominoes thing that the first speaker mentioned, if you take out a piece where the future is completely ignored and changed, so why should that happen? And yeah, bye.
Thank you. It's not time for bye yet. These conversations can continue. Let's proceed on to the bottom, number one.
So I just want to say that the definition of, maybe they forgot to define what a peak. So they define peak, but a peak in this case, as I think, refers to one peak into the future and not seeing the future. Also, throughout the whole debate, it was mentioned as seeing the future in any time, not just like 10 years from now.
Thank you. Just a quick show of hands, now that you've heard all this, how many of you would take the chance to have a peek at the future 10 years from now? How many of you would not? That's really interesting. Huh. Okay. Next up, microphone number two. You are wearing, the person behind you is wearing Chauncey-like suit, but continue on.
I believe that the two teams would do better, especially the opposition, if they earlier on defined what future exactly meant, where if it was like the peak was part of what the future would become later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are just about out of time. We'll take one more question or one more thought from each microphone stand. So I'm so sorry there isn't time for everyone. Let's go back to the original over there.
Hi, I'm Priyansh from Salem Hills, India.
I would like to state a point that goes in the favor of the opposition. They could have stated the point about the space-time continuum. So, time is just like a river. If somebody creates a ripple in it, eventually it would flow straight only. So, even if we had a peak in the future, eventually that thing would occur. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Time is like a river. All right, let's go back to that microphone that I've never given a good number to. Indeed.
Hi, I'm Emily Yu from Senri Osaka International School. I would like to point out that one of the main points made by the affirmative team is that a utopian future would encourage humans to improve. However, considering human nature, it's more likely that it'll lead to more fatalists appearing, and since the affirmative team seems to believe that predetermination of fate is false, then humanity will not improve to meet their utopian future.
Thank you for that concise but telling remark about predestination once again. Food for thought. All right, we move back here. Our second to last comment.
Hi. I'm Hassan from Sunmark School, and I'm just going to say something that was ignored was that where there is death, there's always death. So in the future, if your parents were going to die and you saw that and you tried to prevent it, but at the risk of hundreds of dying, you'd be torn. Let other innocent people die or let their loved ones die, making yourself look selfish either way. Thank you.
Just thinking about that. Quick poll once again. If you did take that peek and discovered that 10 years from now, you were no more, you had passed away, would that affect your behavior in some way today? Yes? No. Interesting. I wonder what you would do differently. And now our final comment.
Hi, my name is Zach. I'm from Nexus International School, Malaysia. This point is directed to the affirmative side. Most of your points go around the premise that by looking into the future, you can act upon the present. But by looking into the future, you have by fact changed the present, therefore rendering your peak redundant to the current present.
Thank you very much for that concluding thought. Guys, make some noise for all those who've shared and all those who would have had we had the time. We need to have time travel. We now invite back to the stage, for the first time on the stage, our panel to announce the decision. We welcome these two representatives of the panel. The remainder of the panel is welcome to stand behind if they would like. All right, 3 representatives, each with up to 30 seconds. You may begin.
Hello everybody, I'm Angus and I'm from South Australia, Adelaide, and I go to Golden Grove High School. I am here to tell everybody about how they presented their arguments. I'd like to first off say that everyone that debated spoke very clearly and strongly. I did think that people could use more variety in tones, but that everyone looked very confident and sharp, and they composed themselves really well, so that was good.
Thank you.
I'm Manik from Cambodia, and I first want to say that both teams were full of very good speakers. They both represented a lot of good points, and I felt that they each put emotion into all of their points. I liked them very much. But they both had pros and cons to their speeches. And even if the results are to the favor of another team, you should not feel that you are versed by any standard, because in this world, there are no losers. You're all winners in some ways. First of all, let me talk about the negative team. The negative team over here.
I'm so sorry your 30 seconds have elapsed, but you ended on a truly beautiful note.
Oh well.
So let's go to your third presenter.
Hello, I'm Ivan from Bangkok, Thailand, and I'd like to give feedback on the strategy of the two teams. So for the affirmative team, we noticed that they had a good strategy of building on one another's points by coming back to the main focus, but they could have varied their points a bit more, and instead of rooting it in theory, gone on to statistical evidence. The negative team also did that, but in small doses, so for that we can graduate them. And we'd like to announce the winner of this debate. After much deliberation, it was a really close victory. Again, congratulations to all speakers. It's an intimidating thing to come up and speak to an audience of this many people. But as always, the winner of this debate is in 3, 2, 1, the negative team.
Well done, panel. Everyone, make some noise for both sides of this debate. They were tremendous today. And now, panel, you may return to your teams. Scholars who just debated, Albert will lead you to the special interview chamber. And scholars in the audience, what comes next? The Scholars Show. So we'll just take a couple minutes to reset the stage for the performances, stretch a little bit, but we'll get started very promptly. And